What would you do if you went to the doctor for your annual checkup and found out that the mole that you'd been meaning to get checked was cancer? Or those headaches that you get occasionally? A brain tumour. There are any number of things that could go wrong in your life, and at a moment's notice you could be told that you have 6 months to live, or less. Faced with this situation, would you question your values, rethink your regrets, and concentrate on what you could do before the spectre of death comes to take you away? My name is Connie Johnson. I'm 37 years old, a mother of 2, and I'm dying of breast cancer. When I tell people that I'm living with a terminal diagnosis, they often comment on what they would do if they found out they were dying. I've had people tell me that they would travel the world, that they would go bungee jumping or skydiving, outlining their bucket lists in great detail. I even had a woman tell me that she would eat chocolate for every meal because she wouldn't worry about gaining weight anymore. I have noticed that although people find the notion horrifying, there also seems to be some unspoken idea that with a terminal diagnosis comes some sort of freedom. Freedom from the everyday confines of life and the things you normally worry about. Like it would be a licence to live the way you've always wanted to live, to hell with the consequences. Why do people see this as a freedom? Is it just one of those silly questions that people say when they don't know what else to say? Let's face it, it's not easy to talk to somebody who knows for sure that they'll die soon. But if it was just one of those silly little conversation fillers, I wouldn't have heard it so many times. And the same tone of underlying freedom to be found in death would not keep coming through. Are we so bound by social norms and expectations that we feel imprisoned in our everyday lives? Is the stress and pressure of normal life so great that we fantasise about it ending? Are we searching so hard for relief that the only place we see it is in death? To be successful at work, to be more successful at work, to be a good parent, to be a good son or daughter, to be a good spouse, to be thinner, to be prettier, to earn more money, to have bigger boobs, to take a better holiday, to exercise regularly. There's always something more that we're striving for or that we feel we should be striving for. We feel pressure from all angles to be the best we can be, and it isn't okay to just float along and be happy. Ads on TV demand that we should want more. Friends and colleagues demand that we should want more. And even our families want us to want more. There's no question that keeping up with the Joneses is hard work. No wonder we want a little bit of reprieve. So occasionally we let our minds wander and think about life without all of this pressure. It seems that the only place we allow ourselves to think about where a pressure-free life might be is if we were terribly rich or dying. If we were so sick to be dying, maybe then all the pressure would be off. People would accept our decisions and stop judging us. Here is where the freedom lies. But here's the catch. It doesn't. There's no freedom in a terminal diagnosis. There's just a different set of pressures and constraints. There is pressure to think positively, to be a good patient, to be strong in the face of adversity, to offer answers to unanswerable questions, and to offer solace to those around you who are struggling with your diagnosis. So can I spend the rest of my life eating chocolate, travelling the world, achieving great feats of adventure or great feats of folly, depending on how you look at it? No. The reality of the rest of my life is that I'll be in and out of hospitals on a never-ending regime of medication designed to help keep me alive for another month, another week, another day, regardless of the side effects. I can't travel because I can't get travel health insurance, and travel is tiring for anyone, and I simply don't have the energy. I can't bungee jump because the pain of sitting in a chair is so great that I can't even begin to think of what that jerking of gravitational forces would do to my fragile bones. And I tried skydiving, and frankly, it just wasn't for me. You know, the inside of a plane is a perfectly nice place to be, no need to go jumping out of any in future. But that still leaves eating chocolate, or whatever your guilty pleasure is. I can't even do that. Most of the time I feel too sick to eat a piece of toast, let alone something rich and sweet like chocolate. And despite the fact that I'm dying, the kids still need to be taken to school, the groceries still need to be bought, and the washing still needs to be done. The mundane, everyday requirements of life don't go away just because you're dying. That's not to say that I can't enjoy the days I have left. Of course I can, and I do. But big picture stuff like travel isn't where I find my peace. I find my peace by spending time with my family, by living in a way that I would be proud of my kids remembering. I take pleasure in simple things that, truth be told, I've always loved, like reading, speaking French, however badly, and scrapbooking. Some days it's all I can do to get out of bed, so to just sit on the couch and listen to my kids play where they can come and hug me intermittently in between games of fantasy and adventure is the best I can muster. Sometimes it's just a nice warm bath. We're floating. I feel less pain. Why do we rely on this notion of a bucket list to bring fulfilment and to live the life we want to live? I guess by definition, a bucket list is a list of things you want to do before you die. Some people are active bucket listers. They live in the now, always ticking things off their list and invariably adding more experiences to their list as they go. But in the most part, a bucket list is something that we think about, we dream about it, but we never actually do anything about it. It is like a private little joy that we package up in pretty little wrapping paper and put on a high shelf away from view. Bucket lists can contain anything. They're personal in their very nature. It could be the desire to travel, to see your favourite band live on stage, watch the sunrise over the ocean, or eat in a Michelin star restaurant. Some would like to learn to cook or sing, walk barefoot in the rain or meet their hero. Others would prefer to make a pilgrimage, lose weight, confront a fear, do a TED talk, unplug for 48 hours, volunteer for a cause, or serve their country. Whatever it is, it seems the fact that it is yet to be done that holds the allure. As humans, we need to have aspirations. In 1943, psychologist Abraham Maslow outlined a hierarchy of human needs. He stated that as human beings, we have needs and we fulfil them in order of priority. There are many other similar models floating about. This is just one, but it demonstrates that we need to be human. First, we have our physiological needs, the need for food, water, shelter, and warmth. Then come our safety needs, the need for security, stability, and the freedom from fear. Belonging and the need for love come next, the need for family, friends, and a spouse or lover. Then we have self-esteem needs, the need for achievement, mastery, recognition, and respect. At the top of the hierarchy, we have self-actualisation, the thing to pursue once we've had all our other needs fulfilled. Maslow describes the need for self-actualisation as the desire to accomplish everything that one can, to become the most one can be. We are lucky in this country in that most people have their basic needs fulfilled. Most of us have a home and enough food to eat and friends and family to love us. Lots of us have our self-esteem needs met through our work or hobbies. This is where the bucket list comes in. It's part of the self-actualisation. It's something we would only consider doing once our basic needs are covered. It's almost like we need to have things that we haven't done and might never do, just to survive. That we need things to dream about. After all, once we've achieved our dreams, they're no longer dreams. And then what? What is there after we've completed all the things we wanted to do? Do we simply find out more things that we want to do, or do we say, right, job done, I've done everything I ever dreamed of, now I can curl up and die? A bucket list almost needs to remain unfinished for us to feel alive. If we do complete it, we add to it with new things to challenge and inspire us. Maybe that's why most of us don't actively pursue our bucket lists and instead savour those dreams as just that, dreams. Because there is comfort in having dreams and aspirations. It gives us some sort of break from the pressure of daily lives, the pressure we put on ourselves and that others put on us, to constantly strive for more money, more success, more experience, more respect. This notion of people talking to me about what they would do in the face of a terminal diagnosis is new to me, even though this is my third battle of cancer. People often ask how cancer has shaped me and what part it has played in who I have grown up to be. I tell them that me and cancer, well, we have a love-hate relationship. I absolutely hate cancer, but unfortunately, cancer loves me. When I was 12, I was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive bone tumour that, due to early detection and effective chemotherapy, I was able to overcome. Then, as a 22-year-old, I had a tumour in my womb. Again, due to early detection and effective medical treatments, I was able to recover from this as well. And I've gone on to live a normal life, meeting my life partner, Mike, pursuing a career in the disability services sector, buying a church, renovating it and getting married in it, before starting a bookshop there and then settling down to have 2 little boys. It was on my son's 4th birthday that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. This time it was different. I was not a child anymore. I was not a child with a dad to shield me from the worst and support me in any way to get through it. I wasn't an early 20s carefree student this time with nothing to worry about but when my next assignment was due. This time I had kids. This time I had to fight. I had to survive for my boys. I'd lost my own mother when I was 4 and I didn't want my children to have to grow up without a mum like we did. For the first 6 months I was treated to cure. I had all the standard treatment that so many people go through every year, a double mastectomy, chemotherapy, radiation. Then when I expected to be given the all clear, I was actually told that the cancer had spread to my spine, my pelvis, my lungs and my liver. There was no cure. This time I would not be a survivor, and my children will lose their mother. So, what do you do when you're told that you have about 6 or 12 months to live? Well, you ring your brother and you ask him over for a few drinks. Once he's sufficiently lubricated, you then ask the question, Sam, will you ride around the country for me on a unicycle? That night, over a few beverages, Love Your Sister was born. Together, my brother, actor Samuel Johnson, and I cooked up a way to give me a long-lasting legacy, something that would be around long after I was gone, something my kids could read about and say, wow, that was our mum. We had 3 aims. 1, to remind every mum in the land to be breast aware. We even had a slogan, don't fall into the booby trap. He'll be very happy you laughed, he made that up himself. Raise $1 million for breast cancer research to help find a cure for this disease, which takes too many mums away from their families every year. How were we going to achieve this? This is where the 3rd aim comes into it. Sam was to ride around Australia on a unicycle, travelling close to 16,000 kilometres on the wacky contraption, visiting hundreds of communities and talking to them about boobs. While he was at it, he aimed to break the world record for the longest distance travelled on a unicycle, which previously stood at 14,686 kilometres. We spent the next 2 years planning, mapping, working on logistics, summoning up sponsorships, and Sam had lots of training to do to become road ready. In February 2013, Sam headed off on a year-long epic trip around Australia to remind young mums to be breast aware, raise a heap of cash for research and break the world record. Together we worked on my new bucket list. And in February this year, after a whole year on one wheel, Sam finished his odyssey, raising $1.8 million, smashing the world record and telling everyone who would listen about the importance of early detection in fighting breast cancer. You see, before I was diagnosed as terminal, my bucket list looked something like this. Travel to France, and take the kids there too. Become fluent in French. Find more time for scrapbooking. Travel Australia, and learn to rollerblade. Now that I'm terminal, my bucket list has changed. I still learn French and I'm still not fluent. Merde. I still want to do scrapbooking, for my kids mainly, so they have records of our times together and so they grow up with evidence of how much I love them. I want to be the best parent I can be because now is the only time I have. I can't guarantee that I'll be there for them when they might need me in the future, so I have to do what I can for them now. But all the travel and the like, that's gone by the wayside. My 2 biggest bucket list items outside of family are to remind women to be breast aware and to raise as much money as possible for breast cancer research. As I've seen my own bucket list transform in the face of a terminal diagnosis, I ask you about your bucket list. Do you actively go out and chase new experiences, revelling in life and looking for more to excite and intrigue you? Do you keep your bucket list high on a shelf, rarely visited, a little treat for those times where a healthy dose of escapism is just what the doctor ordered? Do you even have one? Not all of us do. Why do we wait until we're dying until we choose to live? Another thing people often say to me is, you never know, I might die before you. You could live years and I might go under a bus tomorrow. That's been said to me more times than I can count. And I used to dismiss it in frustration, thinking people just don't understand what it's like living with an axe over your head. And that's okay. I don't want people to understand firsthand. Then a man I knew well said, this very thing to me. Well, I'll be damned if it was 2 months later that he got diagnosed with cancer, and a month after that, he was dead. Everyone is terminal. We just don't know when we will die. But being told that you will die sooner than you expected, does it change the way you think? Does it change the way you live? Not knowing how long you've got shapes how you live your life. Few people are unaffected when I tell them I'm terminal. It reminds them of their own mortality, and it causes them to think and say things about what they would do if it was them. Is it because they want to feel less impotent in the face of a death sentence? Because they want to feel some sort of control over how they would live the rest of their lives? Does having a plan for what you would do in case of something terrible happening reduce the fear of it happening in the first place? Is having a bucket list simply a mechanism for coping with the inherent fear of death? As humans, we spend a lot of time ensuring that we won't die. We look both ways before we cross the road. We put our seatbelts on. We think twice before we eat fried food. We take vitamins and try to exercise regularly. And we don't normally go around doing things like sticking a knife in a PowerPoint or a toaster. Death is scary and it's permanent. Very little in this life is permanent. In fact, the only thing that I can think of that's permanent about life itself is death. We haven't figured out a way to undie yet, and we're petrified. So we build into our private psychological lives ways to deal with our own death. Some of us hope that it will come suddenly, so they won't be conscious of it. Others hope that they will be given a bit of notice so they can tidy up their affairs and say goodbye. The very thought that we will die one day causes us to think about things like bucket lists. Going back to the question I asked you at the beginning, what would you do if tomorrow you found out that you had just 6 months to live? Would a terminal diagnosis change the way you live out the rest of your days? If so, why wait? Why wait to be told that you're dying to start living? Why wait until you'll be tied to a hospital on a regime of medications that might make you feel worse than death? Why not grab life while you can, savour the new experiences, and look for intrigue in everything you do? I challenge you, have a pillow fight, dance in the rain and jump in puddles, listen to a genre of music you've never experienced before, travel to or read about faraway places, grab your partner and kiss them passionately, tell your children that you love them, connect with your inner child, look up at the clouds and find the shapes of animals up there, look down at the pavement and don't step on the cracks, learn a language or martial arts or how to swim or how to build, meet new people, pick up the phone or a pen and paper and reach out to someone you have lost touch with and build a bridge. Volunteer, locally or abroad. Turn the TV off. Plant a tree. Howl at a full moon. Don't be afraid. Life is there to be lived. Okay.